Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Bloody Murder 2 Closing Camp. So I just reviewed the first Bloody Murder and I enjoyed that movie. So I thought, hey, what the heck? There's only one sequel. Let me check it out. And after watching the sequel, I'm going to be honest, I did not enjoy it as much as the first one. And really, I didn't enjoy this one. Like I'm not gonna say at all, but I'm gonna say I didn't enjoy it overall. I thought it was boring. It was like extremely similar to the first one, and yeah, I just could not get into this one. So yeah, unfortunately, I did not have the best time with this, but had to check it out. There's only two movies, and I enjoyed the first one, so you know, you know, I'm glad that I checked it out. So this movie, like I said, is very similar to the first one. The plot summary focuses on this group of teenagers, and instead of opening the camp, this time they're closing it. It's fall. They're trying to close it up before the winter, and early on in the movie, the kids they're all having a campfire, and one of the kids is like, "Hey, let's play Bloody Murder." So they play Bloody Murder like they did in the last one. They think it's all fun and games, but it's not a game because people start actually dying after that. And once again, they think it might be the local camp legend, Trevor Morehouse. So that is the basic plot summary. It's pretty much, yeah, pretty much the same as the last one, like almost entirely the same. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes with like movies like this, like slashers, you don't want them to get too crazy. You don't want sequels to get too weird. I mean, I do. I like when franchises get a little weird, get a little crazy. But I mean, sometimes simpler is better. But this was just there were like very few differences between the first one and this one. It was just like it was they were so similar. It was like watching these back to back. It's like I'm just watching one long movie, which I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing, but to me it was not. So there you go. The first point that I want to get into is like a lot of this is gonna be negatives. I'm gonna try not to be too negative. Because that's not my thing. But the first negative that I have to talk about is the setting in this. I feel like it was not as strong. And in my previous review, when I was talking about the first Bloody Murder, I was talking about how I loved the camp atmosphere and I loved the setting. And even though that movie wasn't the best and it's some low budget direct to video movie, it's a Friday the 13th ripoff, I liked the setting. It had that camp feel. This one is of course set at a camp again, and I do like the location, but it doesn't have that same camp feel. So the first one, a lot of the like most I feel like most of the movie in the first one took place during the day, and people are just walking around the woods, they're canoeing, you have like different like you get to see all these different locations within the camp. They're at the archery range, they're walking around the woods, they're in the cabins, they're at the lake. This one, I feel like they're just kind of they are walking around the woods a little bit, but for the most part, like there's a lot of interior shots where it's just people sitting around in the cabins, standing around in the cabins talking, and then most of the kills. There are some kills that take place during the day, but I feel like most of the kills in so much of this movie is set at night, where it just makes it look like any generic horror movie. Like you don't get that camp feel. The first one, pretty much, it gave me like Sleepaway Camp 3 vibes. Sleepaway Camp 3. Most of the movie is set during the day, and it has like that vibrant woodsy feel, that vibrant woodsy look. That's what the first Bloody Murder had. This one is like all the night stuff. It didn't have the same feel. It didn't have the same atmosphere. So yeah, it didn't feel as much as much like a camp movie. Maybe too the fact that it was set during the fall and you see all these, you know, orange and red leaves everywhere. Like maybe that kind of took me out of it too, because I'm looking for like a summer camp movie. The first one had more of a summer feel. This one definitely did feel more like fall. Like every time they're walking around the woods, any exterior shot, it doesn't feel like summer. It definitely looks like fall. Like there's leaves everywhere, so that could have took me out of it as well. Okay, so this movie from a technical aspect is way better than the first one. It looks way sharper. The first one is so grainy. This one is a lot more clear. It's sharper. The look is like leaps and bounds better, and the acting in this is way better as well. But okay, here's the thing. I think the acting in this is better, but the characters in this are way less memorable in my opinion. The the first movie, like the characters they were pretty much cookie cutters. They're just people there to get killed. You know, they're bodies to get killed. That's what these characters were too. But their delivery was a little bit better. Like some of the delivery of lines in the first one, it was like almost so bad it's good. Like I was laughing, like it was bad. So yeah, the acting in this was better. The characters were still generic, but their performances, like the actors and actresses' performances were better. But yeah, like they weren't memorable. They were just so dull and boring. Like there was a couple memorable characters in the first one, like that one kid who's always in the friend zone and he's rocking the puka shell necklace and he's always trying to get with that girl, and then he totally rats out his friend and snitches on his friend to the cops, and he's like, well, he could have totally killed this guy because he could have been doing this and that during that time. And then I really like the stoner girl in the first one too. She's just like always got a joint in her hand. She's just like lighting up like wherever, just smoking on the reg, getting high on the reg. She was cool. In this one, I like all the characters are forgettable. I don't really remember anyone except Tiffany Shepis is in this. She's cool. She's kind of like this goth alternative chick. She's cool and I liked her. And then there's this one guy, Elvis. He was cool. I like there's this one sequence where he's talking about like, oh, you know, I'm going to get killed first because I'm black. And then he's like talking to this girl and she's like, well, you know, women have it bad in these horror movie situations too, you know. But he's like, well, you guys have a choice. Like, you only die if you have sex in those movies. He's like, me, I'm black. Like, I can't change that. So, like, I'm going to die first in this situation. So I like how they were, I like that, like, little sequence where they're talking about horror movie tropes. And I thought that was kind of, like, interesting to think about. Like, yeah, like, women don't always die in horror movies. They have more of a choice, but it's like the black guy always gets killed first. I mean, not as much nowadays, but for like the longest time. So I liked his character, but other than his character and Tiffany Shepis's character, I don't remember anyone in this. Which I guess is the same because I said I remembered two people from the other one. Like there was two memorable characters, but yeah, all the other I feel like all the other characters in the first one felt more like real teenagers. They were a little bit like more playful, bubbly. The people in this, they were just like straight faced, so serious. They were like too attractive. I'm telling you what, like everyone had like a chiseled jawline, perfect bone structure. They all looked like models, and they were so like stone cold serious all the time. Like if they were supposed to be teenagers or even people in their early 20s, like who acts like that? Like who's that serious all the time? Like you're closing down a camp, like have a little fun, like just quit being such a stiff, quit being such a dick. Like I don't know, they were some stiffs in this movie. So yeah, I definitely liked I even though like I said, the performances in this were technically better, I definitely liked the characters in the first one better. So there you go. But yeah, the look in this was leaps and bounds better. The first one looked like absolute shit. This one still kind of looked like shit, but like 50% better than the last one. So maybe even 80% better. So there you go. Jumping into kills, I feel like the kills were about the same as the last movie, where I feel like the kills in the last movie were hit or miss. You had a couple standouts, but a lot of just forgettable kills like that were just, you know, you had some cutaways and stuff like that. Like this was the same deal, but talking about the memorable ones, you got to talk about the good ones. So there's this girl, Tracy, and her whole thing with her character is that her brother disappeared, and you know it's like believed that he was killed by Trevor Morehouse. So she has these like flashbacks and dreams of him getting killed, and in her dream he gets like chainsawed through the chest. That was great. That was early on in the movie. I loved it. It looked great. There's this one guy who he gets both of his legs chopped off. The killer is like just holding his, you know, severed legs, and then he's like crawling away. You see his stumps, and then like the killer just smashes his head with a rock. That was absolutely fantastic. Great practical effects, super creative, and it was scary. Like, could you imagine that? You get both your legs cut off and you're just crawling. Like, what can you do? Like, that kill was fantastic. And then the last standout kill that I would like to shout out is there's this one guy, he gets an arrow through the neck, and then he's buried alive. And he's just like struggling, like he can't scream. He's pretty much like almost like choking because he's got the arrow. Like the arrow goes through this side and out that side, so he's like pretty much choking, like he can't scream, and he's getting buried alive. That was great. So, you know, even though the kills were hit or miss once again, the good ones were really good. So, shouts out to them. And the last thing that I want to talk about is kind of random, but later on, this girl is like running away from the killer. I think it was that Tracy girl. She's running away from the killer, and she just like puts a bunch of tortilla chips on like down on the ground, and she kind of like hides off like back behind this door. And I was like, is she doing that to make the killer slip? But then it was just like the killer walked in and stepped on the chips, and then she like immediately heard him. I was like, that's the smartest thing I've ever seen. Like, you know, because if you're gonna run, that's one thing, but if you're gonna hide, like, how are you gonna know if the killer could just, if you're hiding in a dark room, the killer could just walk up next to you, you wouldn't even notice, you wouldn't even hear anything, you know? But the fact that she like put down a bunch of tortilla chips to make this kind of trap, just where, you know, the killer would, of course, like inevitably step on it. Like the killer had to go in this room to get to her, so like the killer would have to step on the chips, and like, of course she's gonna hear it. So I just thought that was like the smartest thing ever. I was like, what is she doing with these tortilla chips? But yeah, I don't think I've seen that in a movie before, and I thought that was super funny. Maybe in one time in a slash movie they got to do the same thing, but with like Lego pieces, and just put down a bunch of Legos, and like the killer steps on it with bare feet, and they're just like out of commission, and like the final girl stabs them. And I don't know, that would be beautiful. That would be like a masterpiece. That would be a great ending. But I don't know. I thought that was smart. You got to utilize your environment. You got to be like MacGyver with it. And if you got tortilla chips, you might as well use them so that, you know, you can hear the killer creeping on you and you don't get killed. So shouts out tortilla chips. This review is not sponsored by them, but if a tortilla chip brand wants to sponsor me, hit me up. I'm a big fan of tortilla chips. You know, I like chips and salsa, chips and guac. I eat chips for breakfast, lunch, tortilla chips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I eat them in my sleep, so yeah, that's partially why I was so excited to see tortilla chips implemented in this movie. So Yeah, it's just, I mean, if you're a fan of tortilla chips, you'll probably like this movie. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but I liked that little sequence. I thought that was extremely smart and extremely creative, you know, from the filmmaker's point of view and from the character's point of view. So there you go. So that's the last thing I wanted to talk about. In terms of a recommendation, like I said, I liked the first one, but I did not have a good time with this one. So me personally, I would not recommend this. I would say just stick to the first one. And since it's pretty much the same thing as the first one, you don't even need to watch it. It's not like, you know, pretty much all the characters died in the last one. So it's just a new crop of people to get killed by Trevor Morehouse. But is it Trevor Morehouse? We don't know. Kind of turns into a whodunit again. It's pretty much the same thing. So I would say skip this one. Stick to the first one if you're interested in these movies. Most people aren't. But yeah, if you are like me and you want to check these out, just stick to the first one. So that has been my recommendation, and that has been my review. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.